Mis amores, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxy Garmendia and today we are out here with
Bobby Williams,
from
Wolfpack Builders.
there you go. And I don't know if you remember, but we told you we were gonna teach you how to build a home. And today for our first episode, we got a Q&A. How do we know we're choosing the right lot?
Okay, choosing the right lot. This lot looks like it's flat, so that would be indicative of a slab.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go up there in a minute, but if you can see in the far background, that land slopes tremendously from left to right. That's more indicative of a basement. There's one across the street here that's not so flat, that's not so steep. That's a crawl space. So it's personal preference, but also the land will dictate what you build here. Also, whether you prefer to be in the city limits or in the rural county. Now, if you're in the city, most likely you'll have water and sewer available through the municipality. When you get out here in the rural country, it's going to be well and septic.
All right, can you tell us like a little bit of the difference between those?
So inherently with well and septic, you're going to have a bigger lot because you have to get rid of your wastewater. And it has to have a big enough piece of land to percolate the wastewater through the soil. That's why it's typically bigger lots. Whereas in the city, that wastewater goes to an underground pipe to the municipality treatment plant. So those lots can be smaller, they're more controlled. Now the water also has a bunch of chemicals in it, whereas out here in the county, it's probably got more salt in it. So you may consider a water softener here in the county with well water, because it will make your hair do funny things.
You mentioned a perk test. I know what a perk test is, but my audience doesn't know. Can you explain this a little bit?
Okay, so perk test means you have to get rid of the wastewater. Your laundry, your bathroom, your shower, your soap, all that doesn't have a treatment plant in the city. You have to dispose of your wastewater on site. Here's a perfect example. In North Carolina, we have many different kind of soils. That's clay. And you see how it's holding water. Red clay in North Carolina does not percolate. That water is on top. You want another type of soil where the wastewater will percolate down through the ground and naturally run back in, do its natural chemical bio thing. But so not every lot perks. That's why we have lots big enough in the country to try to find a pocket of land within that lot that'll perk. Now, soil scientists, and part of your due diligence, you'll have to put due diligence money down, hire a soil scientist to come perk your land. You will have to have a good idea where your house is positioned on that land so you can test everywhere around your house. But this is a prime example of that will not perk. That water is not going down in the ground. Neither will your wastewater. So you don't want your spoils sitting on top attracting bugs. You want it to go down in the ground and let the microbes process it naturally. So there's a very good example of perk test. And on your due diligence, it's going to take some time to schedule a soil scientist to come out and examine your soils and give you a results test. It might be perk enough for a 3-bedroom, maybe not a 4-bedroom, certainly not a 5-bedroom. So number of bedrooms does matter in the location of your lot.
Okay, if the lot is not flat, what can I do to make it flat?
Okay, to make it flat, you have to bring in structural soil, and you have to compact it to make sure you have proper bearing capacity on your foundation. If you look across the street, you can kind of see the slope of the hill, the road. That's about how hilly this lot is right here. So you might first look at it and think it's flat, but look at the road and it's really not that flat. So if you look back here, somebody's brought in dirt and they've probably built up this sloped lot to make it more of a flat lot. But when you do that, you absolutely have to make sure this is compacted fill on certain types of foundations. If you do a crawl space, you can dig through it. But if you're going to bear a slab, it's just like a snowshoe on the snow. It spreads its weight, but it has to have the bearing capacity of the soil so the house doesn't sink. So that's one option, is bring in structural fill and compact it properly. That can get expensive. Otherwise, you can use a topo to your advantage and just do a crawl space or a basement. But you asked me, what if you wanted your lot flat? That's personal preference, but you have to prep it according to the money you have available. Otherwise, you choose a different foundation.
So now you know, guys, what to do if the lot is not flat.
So we were talking about the lot typically will mimic. If you can see, it might be hard to see in the camera, but that road falls left to right downhill. So that lot's really not flat, but you can see the dirt in the background. Whoever got here before us tried to make that flat. So they took the topography out of play. And you know, honestly, sometimes a flat lot always isn't best, because first rule of construction, take care of your water. You have to drain that flat lot now. But again, I go back to, it just depends on what foundation type that you like. If you're trying to make it flat, structural fill. Otherwise, it's a crawl space or a basement, as opposed to a slab, a monolithic slab, or a raised slab. We can go into that later in a different course. Let me show you a crawl space. You wanna walk down here?
Let's go.
So this one's probably being set up for a slab. Somebody else has built down here. They chose to do a crawl space. If you look, that land falls to the back. So it's going to be higher in the back than it is in the front. But that's personal preference. A lot of builders will let the lot dictate what foundation type they use. This lot's set up for a crawl space. It's a drive left, side load entry. That one's a 3-car garage. 2-car side load, 1-car front load, drive right. So this is a crawl space foundation. As opposed to a slab, the floor will be concrete on a slab where you walk in and putting your flooring down. This will have wood joist and OSB subfloor, and then you put your hardwoods and tile on top of that. But that foundation system, you can get under your house. Some people want to think that a crawl space is more valuable than a slab. It's kind of a misconception based on quality or how hard it is on your knees. But you can run utilities under a crawl space, whereas a slab, you have no undercarriage to run utilities. Everything at that point will be from the top down.
Over here, we see different types of foundation. If you can just explain a little bit to them.
Okay, so here on the first one, I want you to see that there's crawl space vents right here on this one. So that's a crawl space. And again, it's trying to use the topography to set up their house on a crawl space. But see the front stairs? That's a lot of stairs coming off the front. So when you're choosing a house, you have to keep all this stuff in mind. Stairs that go into the garage, stairs that come off the front porch. I'm not slamming anybody's house. That's personal preference. But when you're setting up crawl spaces, you have to take into consideration cars park, how high the garage slab is, access into the house, stairs off the front. If you'll pan right over here, this is a basement. So it's taking advantage of the topography dropping off to the right. So there's a whole nother floor on the basement here. They set that up to their advantage with the basement. But again, look at the front steps. That's 13 steps. That's a lot of money. So you have to understand design in conjunction with your topography, and me and Roxy can help you with that.
All right, guys, you heard a few questions that we have. We're gonna come up with more questions. If you are interested in our content, please like this, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below.
Bye, mis amores.